What most struck you in these two conversations with Iowa voters who have supported Donald Trump for the last two presidential elections?
I was actually struck mainly by how much they sound like every other focus group I do with two-time Trump voters. They were very clear that the indictments actually made them want to support Trump more, which is really consistent. I mean, we've been asking people for several months, how does it make you feel when you hear that Trump's indicted? Does it make you want to support him more, support him less? Out of the 58 people that we've asked, 26 of them said it makes them want to support Donald Trump more. Only 2 said less. They're a little bit mixed on whether Trump is exactly the right person to be the person who comes back, but still, after January 6th, after the indictments, after everything, still a lot of support for Donald Trump. How many of you distrust the FBI?
Returning to Trump's own legal battles, it seems very little of what comes next will sway this group.
So let's say Trump is found guilty of these charges. He goes through the courts and they find him guilty. Raise your hand if it makes you support him more. Raise your hand if it makes you support him less.
Yes, the more they try, the more he gains the momentum. Look at what is happening here. These are people realizing this is backfiring. Because they tried the first and second, they thought maybe by now he'll be finished. But they are not witnessing this. Now we are talking about January 6th again. It is still a topic of discussion. If somebody told me that by now we would still be talking about Trump indictment, I would say it's a lie. Especially this issue with January 6th.
Look at the clip. If Jack Smith has evidence of criminality, should Donald Trump be held accountable?
So here's the problem. This country is going down the road of criminalizing political differences. I don't think it serves us good to have a presidential election focused on what happened 4 years ago in January. And so I want to focus on looking forward. I don't want to look back. I do not want to see him. I hope he doesn't get charged. I don't think it'll be good for the country. But at the same time, I've got to focus on looking forward, and that's what we're going to do.
Wow. Well, it's just nothing. He says nothing. Well, I mean, by the way, it's easy to overshadow someone who has one word in his vocabulary: woke. That's his.
Sunday.
Does anybody else get nauseous when he says the word country? The word country, every time he says it, I feel nauseous.
Well, it feels like he's saying, bother me during the regular business hours.
Because I don't think he cares one iota about the country. So every time he says it, it rings true that he...
Yes, for those who don't know, according to this article recently published by The Guardian Post, Trump under investigation for civil rights conspiracy in January 6 inquiry. Federal prosecutor investigating Donald Trump's effort to overturn the 2022 election result have evidence to charge the former president with 3 crimes, including Section 241 of the U.S. Legal Code that makes it unlawful to conspire to violate civil rights. 2 people familiar with the matter said the potential charges detailed in a target letter sent to Trump by prosecutor from the Office of Special Counsel Jack Smith, who also charged Trump with returning classified documents last month, was the clearest signal of an imminent indictment. Prosecutor appeared to have evidence to charge Trump with obstructions of an official proceeding and conspiracy to defraud the United States based on the letter 2 statute that the House Select Committee. The target letter to Trump identified a previously unconsidered third charge. The source said this is Section 241 of Title 18 of the U.S. Code, which makes it unlawful to conspire to threaten or intimidate a person in the free exercise of any right or privilege under the constitutions or laws of the United States. The statute, enacted to protect the civil rights of black voters targeted by white supremacy group after the U.S. Civil War, is unusual because it is typically used by prosecutor in law enforcement misconduct and hate crime persecution, though it is used as expanded in recent years. What the potential charges means for Trump is unclear. The prosecutor have been examining various instances of Trump president officials like his former Vice President Mike Pence, but Trump's effort to obstruct the transfer of power could also be constructed as conspiracy to defraud voters more generally. So you can see clearly what exactly is going on here. They waited just days, like what happened yesterday concerning the investigations with January, the investigation with Hunter Biden, and we are seeing what is going on. Yes, I know when you take a look at Liz Cheney right now, she'll be smiling that it is actually working, but at the end, I know they'll be shocked. Something will happen. This might not work out the way they think. Going down on this article, the target letter to Trump identified a previously unconsidered third charge. The source said that is Section 241 of Title 18 of the U.S. Code, which makes it unlawful to conspire to threaten or intimidate a person in the free exercise of any right or privilege under the constitutions or laws of the United States. You can see clearly where this is diving to. Like I said at the beginning of this clip, they don't want Trump to hold office again because that has been Liz Cheney's mission since the beginning. She would do everything possible that the former president should not run again. So I don't know if they have succeeded, but I don't think so. The View went crazy, after this, they even celebrated.
And every single news anchor on all of television, all of them believe that Ukraine, its borders, its future, its infrastructure are all more important than the town that you live in. They sincerely think that, and it's obvious. Everyone in power thinks that, except for Donald Trump. Whatever else you say about him, Trump is the one guy with an actual shot at becoming president who dissents from Washington's long-standing pointless war agenda. And for that one fact, they are trying to take Trump out before you can vote for him. And that should upset you more than anything that's happened in American politics in your lifetime.
I say this as someone who is running against President Trump for the presidency in this election, in this GOP primary. I do not want to see my opponents eliminated because of the actions of a corrupt federal administrative police state. That is why I've said that if I'm elected, I will shut the FBI and other corrupt institutions down. But I don't want to get there by seeing my competition eliminated. That is not how our constitutional republic is supposed to function. We're not supposed to be a country where the party in power uses police force to indict and eliminate its political opponents. And yet now we're on the cusp of potentially a third indictment, which, unlike the last two, literally under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, could be invoked to eliminate my competition, President Trump, from holding office, and that is wrong. Yes, politically for me or any of the other candidates in the GOP primary, it would be easier if President Trump were